What's up, guys? It's Missy. I am back with another SimCity Buildit video. Today we're going to be talking about a contest to mayor's test. There's two tests here. They were written by the graduation person in my contest to mayor's course. So I did not write these. He sent me the test. I took the test, and then I gave the test to the other members. I wanted to take the test first to make sure that, one, that I had the answers, and two, that I understood the content. Now, this was a very, how do I explain this? To me, it's very obvious here what to expect. Now, I pick up on things that most people don't. Or I perceive things differently than most people do. So, for instance, when I first saw this test, I was able to answer the questions, immediately, correctly, and I saw no issues whatsoever. Then I give this test to multiple different people, and they hit me back with a shit ton of questions. Now, I can't answer all of those questions. There's certain information that you need in order to answer it accurately, okay? But there's other information that, yes, would be important, but if I give you all that information, that is the breakdown. So every time that you guys look at a task list, right, most of the time you're looking at your own list. You're not looking at somebody else's. So this is a little bit different for you guys. You guys are really used to knowing what's going on in your game. For instance, you know if the monster's there. You know if you're in war. You know if you have certain items prepped or what time of day it is. But when you're looking at somebody else's list, you need to draw your own conclusions based off the information that you do have. Now, that is something that you should be able to do. In my opinion, in order for you to graduate, you need to be able to look at any list, given the opportunity, or not the opportunity, given the information that you have been provided, and pick out the right answer based on the information provided. Now, there's certain information that you have to have in order to draw any kind of an answer. Could the answer change based on certain things? Absolutely. But the point is, you can draw the answer with the information provided, right? So what information do you absolutely have to have in order to answer? Do you have to know if the person's in war to give an answer? No. Right? You can give this is the correct choice without knowing if that person's in war. They may not be able to do the assignment, but that would be the correct choice if they were in war. If they're not in war, then they could say, well, I'm not in war, now what do I do? Then you could come back and say, okay, if you're not in war, then you do this. You see what I'm saying? But given the information provided, that's what you're going to draw your conclusion based on. Now, what information do you absolutely have to have? Let's say that somebody sends you a list and they don't tell you what league, right? Then you cannot answer it. It doesn't matter what anything else says. Okay, it doesn't matter what their list says. It doesn't matter, nothing. You cannot answer it until you know what league they're in. Because of the fact that if they're in a lower league, right, they may not be wanting to do those other assignments. It's a waste. For instance, if they're in Metro, you would never, ever, ever do any beach or mountain in Metro. You would not be doing any of your very valuable upgrades in the lower leagues. It doesn't make sense to, right? Now, that's normally what we would tell people, is not to do upgrades in any league besides Mega, okay? So there has been instances where people were struggling to pull up their scores for Metro, where I've said, okay, now, given the fact that you have a 2400 upgrade for regular residential and you're in Metro and you're having a hard time and you want to be promoted, go ahead and do that 2400 regular residential. But other than that, you normally would never do any upgrade in any league that wasn't Mega, okay? Now, those are the type of information that you need in order to be able to answer that correctly. So in order to be able to answer a list, you have to have, one, have the entire list. Two, you have to have the city level, the league that they're in, the time remaining, and the tasks remaining. This is all very important information that you need to have, okay? So without all of those things, you cannot answer it accurately. Now, will things change based on if the monster is there or not? Yeah, it will. But if I go through and I tell you all that information, it's going to lead you to your answer. That is the assessment. So what a lot of people did when I gave them this test is, instead of them drawing their own conclusions, they wanted me to draw the conclusions for them in order for them to answer it accurately. And what they weren't understanding is that is the breakdown. That is what's going on in your head. I can't give you that information. Will the answer change based on that? Yeah, it could. But you need to be able to assume certain things under the circumstances that you've been given. So I'll tell you what happened in my brain when I took this test. And this is what I'm trying to teach you guys to be able to do. So when I first read this, it says level 24 camping. Now, what does this mean to me? When he says level 24 and camping, to me, this means he's not doing any upgrades. That's what camping means, okay? It doesn't mean level 24 camping with an experience bar. That's not what he means by that. If he meant that you were able to do upgrade tasks, he would have stated level 24 with open experience, right? Camping means no upgrades. That's what he means. That's the way I took it, and that's the way he meant it, right? So, proceeding on, it says 33 tasks left with 4 days remaining and 3 hours. Okay, so he's about halfway through, and he's got a pretty good head start, right? 4 days left with 3 hours. And then it says, what is the next choice? Well, right there, there's no league. So I cannot answer this based on the information provided. So the answer that I put down is that I'm unable to answer because the league is not been listed, therefore that is the answer. So a lot of people that I gave the test to, they came back to me and they said, what league question, as they were asking me. There are no questions in a test. There are only answers, okay? So don't ask questions, only give answers. Now, I told everybody this after that. I said, okay, look, there are no questions. The information provided is what you get. That was my hint. Meaning, the information you have been given is what you get. So if you can't answer it because you don't know what league, then that is the answer, right? The answer isn't what league question mark. The answer is I cannot answer this because the league has not been listed. So yeah, you kind of got it half right when you noticed that you couldn't answer the question based on not being able to have that information available to you. But the answer was not a question. The answer was to say that you can't answer it. That is what I was looking for. That is exactly what I said when I was asked this question, and that's exactly what I expect you to say. I'm not going to cut you any slack and say, oh, well, you know, you kind of got it right. No, you didn't. You got it wrong. You were supposed to say that you can't answer it, but instead you said, what league? What you should have said is, because there's no league listed, I can't answer it. So moving on, I didn't even look at the list. There's no reason for me to look at the list. I did not look at anything on this list. I'm like, next, doesn't matter, okay? So then this one says level 20 camping. Okay, so this person is not doing upgrades. They're in the Mega League. They have 50 tasks left with 4 days and 16 hours remaining. What is their next choice? So what do we know when we do this task assessment? Well, do you know how many people came back to me and said, well, what time of day is it? You have to assume that they are on and they are trying to get shit done. We're not assuming they're going to bed. We're assuming that they are on and playing, okay? it says chairs 1680, 12 chairs need to be made, and 11 are ready for pickup, okay? Then it says glass for 1880. 50 is done, the first round is finished and ready for pickup. Assuming that we are on and getting shit done, because I'm going to assume that. Why am I assuming that? Because if it wasn't like that, it would have been stated. If he was ready to go to bed, he would have stated, you're getting ready to go to sleep, and this is what's going on. Otherwise, I'm going to presume that you are trying to get shit done. So I'm going to assume that you're not wanting to take up your entire day and do glass. Okay? Now, cement is 1720, so it's higher than the chairs, but 17 of them need to be made. That's an additional 6 on top of the ones that are already ready for pickup. Then we have chems, which obviously we wouldn't do chems, right? Because glass is higher and the first round is made. So chems is definitely out. London delivery and rare disasters are out because they are lower than all the others. And there's 4 of them taking up right around that 2K value. So it's definitely one of the 4 at the top. Now we know we're not going to do coins over premiums, okay? Presuming that it's daytime, because that's what we're going to assume, we would not take up our whole day and do the glass just yet. So it really comes down to chairs versus cement, okay? Cement is worth more, right? However, look at the city level. Why is city level important? When we look at city level, why is this an important bit of knowledge that we need to have? You know, when I tell you guys that you need time remaining, tasks remaining, city level, those are all things that you're looking at for a reason. What are those reasons? You're looking at city level to determine what? Tokens. What tokens do you have unlocked? How many factory slots do you have unlocked, right? So we can assume that a level 20 does not have 40 slots, right? We can assume that a level 20 does not have gold tokens. So one of the people that answered this said, I'm going to go ahead and put a gold token on cement. You can't put a gold token on cement, you're level 20. So what now becomes your choice? You would do the chairs. They're barely low at all. You have 50 tasks left. You're already a little bit behind on your daytime. You're level 20 and you're in Mega. Okay, so what do we know about a level 20 in Mega? Because they don't have gold tokens, time is against them, right? It's going to be really difficult for them if they only have silver tokens, given the fact that they have all these production assignments. So because they're camping, they're not doing regular residential upgrades either. So they don't have that to alleviate any bit of the stress on their production. That being said, they already have this 6-hour downtime coming up with the glass, right? Then they have the downtime for the cement. So it would stand to reason that they would want to get some shit done today. Chairs is absolutely the choice here. That is the breakdown that you should have done. Now, what you should not have done is said, well, how many tokens have they used? Well, what time of day is it? Well, are we in war? Are we not in war? Like, you can sit here and you can ask questions like that all day long. But the bottom line is, you aren't in a position to ask questions. You're in a position to give answers based on information provided. That is what this test is. And as long as you have the information needed to give that answer, you can draw an answer from the information provided here. Now, would this answer change had there been given additional information? Yes. If I would have came to you and said, okay, it's nighttime, what would your answer have been? Your answer would have been the glass. Then it would have changed the answer. But the bottom line is you weren't given that information, so that's not the answer you're going to come up with. That is what I'm trying to tell you guys. So many people are like, but I have so many questions. I want to know this. I want to know that. Well, you have to go with what you do know, okay? And that is right where you learn how to break things down. That is your task assessment. So a lot of you guys, the reason that you're making mistakes is because you're overthinking simple situations, and then you're underthinking the complicated situations. You're not doing critical thinking. Okay, for instance, let's proceed on. Let's go back up to here. Do you know how many people didn't understand that the answer was that you can't answer it? They just kept asking what league? Duh. I mean, think about it from a logical perspective. You're not supposed to be asking questions. You're supposed to be giving answers. That was your hint. Then with this, the level 20. Do you know how many people looked at that level? The first thing they should have thought is, what's different from a level 20 player versus a level 24 player? You have to remember, somebody sat down and specifically wrote these questions. They specifically placed out each and every detail for a reason. Okay? It's either to throw you off or because it has some kind of importance. The level 20 has some kind of importance. If they deliberately chose to say level 20 over level 24, there's a reason for it. They're trying to direct you into something. They're trying to make you see something. Okay? What they were trying to have you see was that time is against you. That you do not have tokens available to you the same way you would if you were level 24. Therefore, your choice would change based on these type of situations. That is what they were trying to teach you with this question. Every time I write a question, or in this case, this person, we are trying to show you an example of a specific scenario, right? So you have to look at what information is being given to you and why it's being given to you. Kind of like when you watch a movie, right? So you're watching a movie and they zoom in on a notepad with a pen. Why are they doing that? You think that it's just because they wanted to show off a notepad and pen? It obviously has some significant value. You may not understand its value right now, but sometime down the road throughout the movie, you'll be like, that's why they showed that to us. Or you'd be like, I didn't even notice. But then you go back, you rewatch the movie, and you're like, wow, okay, now I get it. You see what I'm saying? You have to pay attention to details. For instance, how many people here wanted to know how long the Easter shop was going to be around today? All you had to do was open up your game and look at the damn Easter shop, and it tells you right there. But if you're not paying attention to the information, the details, you're never going to be able to catch on to this shit. What you need to do is think outside the box, okay? That's what you guys need to do. Whenever I tell you guys that I'm not teaching you about the game, what I'm teaching you has nothing to do with the game, that's what I mean. I'm trying to teach you guys how to be critical thinkers, how to notice things in a different way than what your brain normally would pick up on. For instance, let's move on to the next thing. Level 24 in camping, mega, on 12th ticket, 1 day, 6 hours, what's next choice? Okay, so what do we know? Then level 24, they have gold and silver tokens unlocked. That's what's important. They have 40 factory slots. They're in mega. Okay. They're on their 12th ticket. So they've got, let's see. They've got 1 day and 6 hours. So they're a little cramped on time, but not too much. What's next choice? 1200 epic. Well, we know that value trumps opportunity here. Then we've got coins for 1650. We've got VU repair for 1600. And then we've got 1200 on the keys. And then we've got glue for 1100. And then it says 1K VU. VU was good to you. And then it says 800 common disaster. War is almost over. Okay, so what he's doing here, what details do we need to pick up on? So what he's doing is he's testing you to see if you would pick something else over this one thing based on certain information. So what you need to notice is he is telling you that you need to presume that you're in war unless otherwise stated, right? So he says war is almost over. This would indicate that you would want to rotate any bit of war tasks to bring better opportunity, yes? Under what circumstances, though? If you go to rules of rotation applies before tickets. Once you're in tickets, the rules of rotation is that value trumps opportunity. Therefore, you can immediately cross off this 800 word disaster because you're not going for opportunity. You're almost out of tasks. There's no reason to. Then you have 1K VU. VU is good to you. But again, we're going for value over opportunity. So what these are attempts to throw you off. They're there to make you think. They're there to draw you in and say, yeah, you could pick me, but should you pick me, right? So then you go to the rules of rotation and you say that value trumps opportunity. That being said, you need to go to your highest valued task and see if that's the right choice. Right now we have a VU repair for 1600 and we have a coins that brings 50 points higher. What reason would we have to not do the coins? No reason whatsoever. It's going to bring better opportunity than the VU repair, right? So we might as well go with the coins. They're the highest, best option. So coins is the correct choice here. Now, 4A says, what is the first step you do after the contest of mayors begins, and why is it important? So after the contest of mayors has begun, the very first thing you do is what? You open up your list and you do what? What do we call that? Task assessment. That is the answer. Task assessment. The answer, sure, you could give an answer like, I look at my list, or I go through my list. But the answer is task assessment. Okay? I didn't mark anybody wrong if they said, I look at my list. But that's the answer that we were looking for, was task assessment. Then it says, in what other scenarios would you use this technique? So right there, he's already telling you, he's giving you a hint. So if you didn't know what 4A was, he's saying it's a method. It's a technique in which you're using, right? So what other time would you use this? My answer, specifically, my answer was anytime that you do not have an obvious choice, you would use this method, which is correct. Anytime that you don't know what to do is when you would do a task assessment, right? So that's your answer. Okay, moving on. Number 5, Mega. You're in Mega. You're level 24, and you're camping. You're on tickets. Now, notice how it doesn't say what ticket. So we have to assume that it could be any number of tickets. 1 day, 16 hours left. What's your next choice? Okay, well, this does depend greatly on what ticket specifically. Now, assuming that it's not our last ticket, because he probably would have said it's your last ticket. So we're going to assume we have more than one ticket left, at the very least. So we're going for, again, value over opportunity here, right? So let's look at the options we have. Upgrade London. We're 24, we're camping, we would not be doing an Upgrade London. Upgrade regular residential. Again, 24 and camping, that's out. Feed for $14.90 with 40 of them remaining. Then we have sugar at 32 with $13.90 remaining. And then we have VU. VU was bad to you for 1,000. And we have techs for $14.60, 35 techs. VU repair at 1,200 and epic at 800. Okay, so let's pick out our top valued tasks that we could do. That's number 1. So we've already crossed off the 2 upgrades. Now we need to look at feed, sugar, and techs. Those are the top ones, right? Now, looking at this specifically, we're level 24, so we know we have 40 slots. So we can do any one of these factory tasks in 1 round, right? But we don't know how many tickets we have left. We have to presume that we could have 15 tickets left, right? We could have 3 tickets left. I don't know. But based on the information provided, I'm going to want to leave as much time as I can, but getting as many points as possible. That way I can ensure that I have enough time to complete this task if it comes back around again. For instance, do you know how many people came back to me and said, well, what time of day is it? If it's bedtime, I'd do this. If it's daytime, I'd do that. You want to assume that it's daytime. You don't want to assume you're going to sleep. He would have stated that had he meant that. So assuming that you're trying to get shit done, I mean, that's the conclusion that I came to, was that if any information that would have been prevalent to the answer, it would have been given to you, right? So that being said, if you want to, you can give two answers, and you can say, if I'm going to bed, I'd do this, and if I'm staying awake, I'd do that. Well, think about it like this. You have 1 day and 16 hours remaining, right? So if you do a feed task for 1490, that's only 30 higher than the textiles, 30 points higher, and it's going to take double the time. You're going to assume it's not prepped, and you're going to take into consideration that it could come back again, right? Now, given the fact that you're on tickets, you're in loop territory, so it's highly probable that it could come back as a loop. Let's say you did the feed, and it did come back, and it came back worth like 2,300. You would have to do it again, right? Well, what if it came back for 2 rounds? That's 12 hours of downtime. Why would you want to open up the possibility of that happening? And if you didn't do it, and you just went on to something else, then you would be leaving it sit there and thereby possibly blocking better tasks from occurring. So it could really hurt you to take that 30 extra points. Now, normally, points trumps opportunity here, right? But we're so damn close in point. 30 points, are you serious? It's not worth the risk of not being able to finish your other tasks. And it's also not worth the risk of it coming back and blocking anything. So in this case, you've got sugar, but sugar's lower than text. So it comes down to text or feed, right? If you were going to bed, would you want to do the feed? No, I wouldn't. Not with this little of time remaining. If I had more time remaining, I would probably risk it. But if I had only 3 or 4 tasks left and I was going to bed, then yes, I would, because I would be able to do another feed task if it came back around. I would be able to do 2 rounds of it. But if we've got like 14 tickets left and that happens, we could end up in a really shitty spot. Or better yet, what if we got something else that required some downtime? It's not a good idea. So text is absolutely the answer here, clear as day. Okay, let's go to the next test. This is test number 2. If you have not taken test number 2 and you wish to take test number 2, I did send it in the group chat. And for those of you who are not in my group chat and you just simply watch my channel, you guys can follow along here and pause the video if you want. You see the questions, you know. I'm going to go ahead and scroll through, give you guys some time to screenshot them, look at them, write up your answers, test yourself, and then you can continue on watching the video to see if you got any of these answers correct. So this one here, this is number 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so let's go back up. So test number 2 is a little harder than test number 1. Okay, test number 2, Mega League, camping, level 24, 3 tasks plus tickets, 2 days, 7 hours, attack phase for another 5 hours. What's your next choice? All right, so what information has been given to us? We've got league, level, tickets, time, and then he's thrown in some additional information with time remaining on war. Okay, so we've got 3 tasks plus tickets. So what do we know about this part of the contest? If we go to rules of rotation, the last 10 tasks remaining is what do we do during this time? Before we go to our tickets, we have 10 tasks remaining. This is the time where the rules of rotation are open up any opportunity that you possibly can, because once you get to your tickets, value trumps opportunity. So any like loose ends that you may have, any opportunities that you may need to open, now would be a really good time to rotate those in. Okay, so that being said, donuts is 1,150 and ready for pickup. Keys is 1,600. That's not an opportunity type of task, right? Because it is a reoccurring task. Then we've got a Latin upgrade for 2400, so that's definitely out. Rare attack for 1000. Paris upgrade, which Paris is definitely out. Launch VU, which was good to you. And then a 1200 cargo. Okay, so we have the VU that can be launched at any time, right? So what do we know about the rare and legendary war attacks? We know that they bring good opportunity, right? And they're also a limited task. They can only be done during war. So it would stand to reason that we would want to get that done during that time. Now, let's say that you're thinking, well, I've got 5 hours left. I can do VU and wait on the war. But the problem with that response is that the rare war attack brings better opportunity than the VU. It's limited, and you could blow away your only window of opportunity here. With only 3 tasks remaining before points, right? Let's say that you do the rare war attack and you get something good. That is the correct choice, rare war attack. But let's say you do VU and you get a 2000 delivery, and then you get a 2000 launch or 2400 launch legendary attack, and then the next ticket or the next task you get is a 2000 production. You just lost your window of opportunity to rotate your rare attack. Now war is just about over and you're on your tickets, and you haven't rotated that rare attack still, because when you had your window of opportunity, you went with VU. So do you waste a ticket and rotate in that window of opportunity on your tickets? No. You should have done it back when you had that opportunity, but you didn't take it. And that's why that's not a good play to make. So in this circumstance, you would pick rare attack over VU. More often than not, the rare attacks and the legendary attacks result in high valued tasks, okay? They usually bring really good opportunities. And war is a very limited thing. You can only do war when you're in war and the attack phase is prevalence, or if you have the monster there, and some of those aren't even available then. So you definitely would want to do the rare war attack under these circumstances. Now, the donuts, yeah, it's higher, but we're not going for value, we're going for opportunity right now. And right now, we only have 5 hours left. So donuts is definitely not it, right? That's value over opportunity. Anybody that picked donuts is somebody who's constantly looking at value, 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 and that will lower your points. For people that do that, they're people that think that the more points they do, the better their average, okay? That's not always the case, because the more points you do doesn't always bring in more points. You can take a little less to get more later. So you got to be careful with that. All right, number 2. You're in the Mega League. You are level 24. You have 25 tasks plus tickets, 3 days, 14 hours left. What's your next choice? Okay, so let's go through the setting the scene part. You're in Mega. We got the league. You're level 24. You have 25 tasks left, so you're halfway through your main tasks, just a little bit over, and you've got 3 days, 14 hours. You're kind of running a little behind, actually. So what's your next choice? You have a London upgrade, which obviously is out. Even if you weren't camping, London upgrade's out because you're only doing regular residentials. VU was good to you, so you have a 1000 VU. You've got keys for 1600, and then you've got an 1880 chems. First round is finished. And then you've got a regular residential for 1600. So he didn't state that you were camping, meaning that this option is available. He's got a 1600 epic and a 1000 Tokyo delivery. So if we follow the rules of rotation, we're going for opportunity over value, with value being considered, obviously. Now, what are we looking at here? We need to look at our 2K placements. As long as we have 4 tasks within that 2K value range, we pretty much block off any option of anything coming in. So we've got quite a few tasks here right around that 1600 to 2K value. So we definitely need to do something to clean this up. So our highest valued task is the chemicals. The first round is done, right? He's got 25 tasks remaining, meaning it's only a 2-hour setback to finish the chemicals. Now, he could do the regular residential and take the 280 points less, but at some point he's going to have to pick up the chemicals and do the second round, right? Is he going to wait till nighttime to do it? No. Or is he going to wait till he lowers his average even more so? No. So he's got to get it done at some point. He's already got half of it done. Why would he take less points when he's got to take the time out of his day at some point to get it done? Sooner rather than later, because it opens up better opportunity the moment that he clears that task. So what reason does he have to postpone it is the question. He doesn't have a reason to postpone it. So chems is the correct choice here. Okay, moving on to number 3. We are level 24, 57 tasks remaining, plus tickets, 5 days, 3 hours, so it's the beginning of the contest. Attack phase starts in 15 minutes. What is your next choice? Do you know how many people said League is not here? This was a trick. This was a critical thinking trick, okay? Pay very close attention to the information provided. Level 24. 57 tasks remaining. That tells you the League. You don't get 60 tasks in Metro. You get 55. He has 57 tasks. This is a hint. This is a critical thinking hint. He's telling you you're in Mega by the tasks remaining. But most people didn't catch that. I caught that immediately. I'm like, okay, it's obviously Mega. You have to be able to draw your own conclusions. You have to be able to look at the information provided and see everything that is trying to be said to you. Everything has a reason or a purpose, right? You need to find that reason and that purpose. You need to look at all the details. That is what you guys are missing. A lot of you guys, it's that, one, you're overthinking when it comes to certain things, but you're not thinking enough when it comes to other things. For instance, so many people are stuck on the out of the box or the inside the box thought process of where's the League? Where's the League? He didn't list the League. Okay, but did he give you other information that would indicate that? That is what you're looking for. If you can draw that conclusion, then there you go, right? That tells us what league he's in. He didn't need to list it because he gave it to you. Most people didn't catch that. That is what I'm trying to teach you, is how to catch things like this, how to see things like this. Okay, so you're in Mega. Attack phase starts in 15 minutes. What is your next choice? 800 Epic. 2000 Paris upgrade. Obviously that's out. 1600 VU repair. 1560 on the feed, ready for pickup. Chems is 2100. London upgrade, common launch. Okay, so the two 800s are obviously out. They're too low, right? It's the beginning of the contest. We've got those 2 upgrades, cross those off. So it comes down to feed, VU repair, and chems, right? Well, right now we're going for opportunity. That's the rules of rotation. Opportunity, and always considering value, of course, yes, but opportunity trumps value. Now, the chemicals are higher than the feed. The feed barely, if at all, reaches that 2K value, right? It's just close enough to kind of be tricky on your mind, but not quite there yet. Now, it's ready for pickup. So that was his way of tempting you. Do you pick it or do you not pick it? And do you clear out the feed and pick up the chems? Most people would be lazy and say, I'm just going to do the feed and then start chems. That is wrong. Okay? That is way wrong. You need to pick up the feed without doing the task and do the chemicals. That is your first play. You have plenty of time left in the contest to do that. Even if the chemicals is 2 rounds. Now, if the chemicals was lower, let's say the chemicals was at like a 1680, they would not be done. The feed would be done because feed opens up better opportunity under the circumstances and has a higher chance of coming back with a higher value, but a lower chance of reoccurring, right? So chems usually comes back, and it usually is not higher than 1900, okay? Now, more often than not, you would not want to clear feed unless it's worth a specific value, a higher value. But given these circumstances, chemicals is absolutely correct. Okay? So moving on to the next question. Mega leak, camping, level 24. Hang on just a second here. Okay. So, let's scroll up. So you're in Mega, you're camping, you're level 24, you've got 40 tasks plus tickets in 4 days, 15 hours, your average is 1.92, and you just canceled a task and got Latin in return. What is your next choice? Okay, so he's telling you your average is important. Why is that information important to you? Why do you think he told you that? That was a hint. That's the way I took that information, is he's hinting at something. He wants me to focus on that for a reason. Okay, so he just said you just canceled a task and got Latin in return. He doesn't tell you what task, but he says you just canceled one. Now, how often do you cancel a task? Not very often, right? It's usually an upgrade, and it's usually of high value. So let's look at the list, shall we? It says 2400 Latin, feed for 1300, repair, Tokyo upgrade for 2000, regular residential upgrade for 2400, coins and spatulas. Do you know how many people picked spatulas? Okay, let's look at what we got going on here. We've got 1, 2, 3 upgrades worth either 2400 or 2K value, meaning the opportunity for tasks to pop up is not good. So if we continue on trying to open up opportunity with all of these high tasks sitting here, at what point do we cancel? After our average drops? No. That's why the average was important. What he's saying is you just canceled the task. So you got a 2400 in return. It was his way of saying you're halfway through your double cancellation. That's what he was trying to do there. He was doing a double cancel. And it was your job to notice that he was halfway through that double cancellation. So if he canceled a task and he got a 2400 Latin, he would not cancel the Latin, right? It says he is camping, so he's not going to be able to do the 2400 regular residential. The regular residential can only come back for a maximum value of 2400, whereas the Tokyo can come back worth 3000, and it's worth less points now. So we would want to cancel the regular residential for 2400. It opens up a 2K placement, and it has the opportunity to come back worth the maximum value of what it's already in your list for right now. So given the fact that his average is actually pretty good, he can afford to do that cancellation and probably make up for those points. Whereas if he continues with these tasks sitting here this way, he will likely drop his average by the time he catches on. Then he'll have taken another hit by the time he decides to cancel. So yeah, you would absolutely do the cancel regular residential. There's no reason to not do a double cancellation here. Okay, next. Mega League, 24, 10 tickets left, 15 hours. What is your next choice? So we've got Mega, time remaining, tickets, and level. So we've got all of the information that we need. And it says, what is your next choice? Minerals are ready for pickup. Flowers ready for pickup. Minerals are higher than flower. VU repair is 1200. Latin for 2400. Old Town for 2400. And Tex for 1300. Okay. 10 tickets left. So what do we know? Rules of rotation are what? tickets, we do value over opportunity. Okay, so value over opportunity. We cross off both of the upgrades. Obviously, VU repair is 1200, so it's higher than the flour and it's higher than the minerals. So we're looking at our two highest valued tasks, which would be VU repair and textiles, right? Textiles sits at 1300. It's for 35 textiles. So that's 3 hours worth of production time, and he's got 15 hours remaining. That gives him enough time to finish his other tasks. It'll leave him with about basically 7 hours to finish 9 tasks. Now, why would he do minerals when Tex is so much higher? He wouldn't. He would clear out the minerals and he would prep Tex, right? Why would he do VU repair? It's worth 1200, right? Okay. So does he take that time and risk the 7 hours for the textiles? Or does he say, no, it's not enough time to finish these tasks, I'm going to go ahead and do VU repair? Which one is the better option? It's tricky, huh? Because you could do the VU repair. It's worth 100 less. Or you could risk it and not be able to finish those tasks in 7 hours. It all depends on what the game throws at you, right? So, hang on just a second. This video is getting pretty long. Hold on.